Welcome, everybody, to the Pro Wrestling Post podcast. No, you're not hearing differently. This is the Pro Wrestling Post podcast, and myself and Mark Blake have swapped places, at least for our introduction. I've made it so the reason I'm chiming in is the number of episodes that we're at right now is episode 23, but I can't do this alone. We definitely need my brother from another mother, my man on the other side of the globe, Mr. Mark Blake. Mark, how you doing?
Hello. That's strange, isn't it?
That is.
It's strange,
reversal.
But it's good because I haven't started the show with this fake English posh voice that I seem to throw on to do the open. So it's great. I'm like it. I'm very good. I'm very good. I am all chilled out and relaxed. I just said to you very quickly, I've actually burnt the tip of my tongue tasting my buttered chicken sauce, but I was in a rush to get up here and talk to you, so I didn't cool it down, and therefore I've burnt the tip of my tongue. It's fine. We will carry on. It's not like I'm talking with like a really bag. Oh my word! I've jinxed myself. A really bad lisp or anything. So we're just kicking back, relaxing. I say we. It's like the royal we. It's the only posh bit you're going to get out of me, I think. But yeah, I'm good. How are you? Also, by the way, very nice open. It's a lot more calm and considered and concise.
I was stumbling. It's funny. I was thinking about this on the way down, and I was trying to throw accolades. I'm like, I don't know. Do I call him majestic, Mark? He threw marvelous my way. I'm trying to think of alliteration with our names starting with M, and I don't know. Can he pull a rabbit out of his hat? I think he does often when having to make chicken salad out of sometimes our recordings. You make it flow and you make it work. So,
you know me. Quite a few of the listeners know me. I always fly by the seat of my pants. I hardly ever have a plan, because every time I've had a plan, it's always gone wrong. So I will have a brief outline of what I want to do, what I want to say, and then we'll just go. It's like a promo. With a promo, you get a brief outline of parts you got to hit in the promo. As long as you do it, it's all good. And that's how I work now.
Outstanding. Yeah. And now we wouldn't be us if we didn't have our drinks of choice. What do you have accompanying you tonight?
Oh, I'm going to disappoint you and the thousands, the millions, so to speak. I'm on the water because of the tip of the tongue. It's really annoying me. So I've decided to play it safe, go easy, and just have some plain, boring water. Hopefully, it'll make the edit tomorrow a bit easier as well, so I won't have a sore head.
Now, there's a reason why there's a bit of a sore tongue. You shared with us just before we got on. Dinner is in the midst of getting ready, but
dinner's already made. Dinner is made. The wife and the wingman are sat downstairs watching Britain's Got Talent from last night, I think, and eating their lovely butter chicken curry with pilau rice and poppadoms and naan breads, and I'm up here with a bottle of water chatting to you and all those millions of listeners that we've got out there. And I think I've come off with the better end of the bargain, no?
Yeah, well, maybe so. Let's see. Hopefully there's some treats in there that'll ease up some of the sting on the tongue. As we get into this week, or as we get onto the show, I guess my drink of choice gone a little fancier. So I went with what's called a dirty chai. So it's a hot chai tea latte, but then it has not one but two shots of espresso in it. So it's got the chai tea taste, but it's got shots of espresso in it, so it's got a bit of a buzz to it. So I've escaped the plain black and upped it a little bit today.
2 shots.
2 shots, yeah.
2 shots. Right. So looks like you'll be buzzing during and after the recording.
Indeed. So what do we have on tap for today?
Today, we are not going to our local. our bar of choice, which we still haven't named, which we do have to sort out at some point, but not today. Today, we are eating, sleeping, recapping, and repeating. We are going back to last weekend. We will be talking about King and Queen of the Ring, which I don't think you've actually watched yet, have you?
I didn't watch it, but I've got the results and I've found out what happened. So
You got the gist of it.
I got the gist of it. Yeah.
Excellent. Then we'll be talking about the raw fallout from King and Queen of the Ring. Then we'll be talking about Double or Nothing. And then after that, we will talk about Dynamite. And that should take us straight towards the end of the show. And then I'm going to go off and eat a cold curry, which is over here a delicacy. A cold curry.
Really?
Yeah, it's great. It's usually accompanied with a hangover, but, you know, I'm being good this week. So,
Okay.
I've just said before the show, I said I'm not going to say so often, and I've literally just had a huge so just then, and I've just said it 4 times. Oh my god! Right. Shall we start at the beginning? Shall we start on Saturday, where
We shall.
WWE took the show on the road and took a B pay-per-view, and once again pimped it up and had a really bloody good show, to be fair. I watched it live. I had my grandson with me, which many of you, all of you, millions out there, remember from last week. I have my grandson for the weekend, and he watched his first pay-per-view. He enjoyed it. He was sat in his little bouncy chair, lying back, kicking back, relaxing, and he quite enjoyed the show. I really enjoyed the show. It was better than what I thought it would be, and I was quite surprised by the Saudi audience. There was quite an atmosphere there. There have been times where it's been quite flat. The matches kind of helped. I really enjoyed it. You obviously haven't seen the show, but you know the results. So I can't ask you what you thought of the show. Was there any surprises with the results on your end?
So as far as results, I didn't expect Lyra to win. I had anticipated Nia would have won just because it felt like that might be the direction. I mean, she's kind of the perennial threat for the title, whether she's in that ilk, whether we like it or not. I mean, she's still considered that threat. So it looks like now she's going to be the one facing Bayley at SummerSlam, which is different. I don't think they've faced each other before. Maybe they did on Raw. Maybe, I'm not sure. But it's probably so far removed that it would be easy to forget because it's years ago. So, but I definitely don't think that's the end of Lyra. I have hopes, and I feel like she's going to be in some way wrapped up into this Liv Morgan title reign and what that's going to look like, and as a contender, or even having battles still with EO and Damage Control. I don't think her push is anyway, especially now where it seems the Raw side needs a face, depending on the place of where Becky's going to be. I definitely think that that's going to be the direction they go. Yeah. As far as the men, I think it was one of those things where, what does this do for either guy? I don't think this hurts Randy. I still think that with Randy, we're going to see a Randy Cody SummerSlam. I think that's still probably on the table. That was probably one that's going to make the most sense. And then Gunther winning and challenging. That's interesting because I don't know what that's going to look like and who he's going to face at SummerSlam. Is it going to be McIntyre? Is it going to be Priest? That's interesting. But from what all intents and purposes, from what I've heard, the Logan Paul Cody Rhodes match was outstanding. And like, give Logan Paul his due for a guy that's been in the business as little as he has. He's a special talent.
He annoys me so much. He annoys me. He has no reason, no right to be as good as he is. And the guy didn't even follow wrestling growing up. He just, that's not a slight on him, folks. I think he's absolutely amazing. It just annoys me that this guy just goes, yeah, okay, I'm just going to be a podcast host. Yeah, okay, I'm going to invent some drinks line that's going to take over the world. Yeah, okay, I'll try my hand at boxing. Oh, I'll do wrestling now. There's nothing this guy can't bloody do, and it winds me up. Oh. But yeah, the match was really, really good. You saw a side of Cody that you hadn't seen before. It was a very, it's not determined, but it was very aggressive. Cody, he wanted to put Logan Paul in his place, and he did. It was a really, really good match. There was that spot. I don't know if have you seen any highlights from the show, any snippets at all?
I saw the 360 camera work.
Yeah,
where he
drone.
Yeah, with the drone. That was really well done.
Yeah, that was his idea. And he'd been pushing, I don't know if it was from the last pay-per-view, but he'd been pushing for a shot like that, saying it'll work. And he kept getting pushed back, and eventually Triple H went, yeah, all right, go for it. And it worked. It was really, really good. So not only can he wrestle, he can bloody produce shows, and
yeah,
just makes me hate him even more. Again, I don't hate him. I'm just envious of his talent.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah,
for sure.
It was really, really good. Really, really good. With regards to Gunther / Walter, I can see Drew picking up the win. I can see Drew beating Priest at Clash, which is in 4 weeks, I think.
Yep.
I can see him winning. And then it'll be McIntyre against Gunther, which I think has taken place in WXW in the past. Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure, but they have faced before. It's going to be along the lines of if just take out McIntyre and put in Sheamus. It's going to be that kind of match. Very strong, very hard hitting, lots of pain, very strong style. After that, I don't know. I don't know where Damian Priest goes. I don't know if the whole situation with Dominic and Liv and Rhea is going to have pushback on the group, but we'll get to that part in a bit. That's that. You have what else was on there? Randy, as we said before, he could take the loss. Because he's Randy, he's a legend. He could take the loss. He looked good in taking the loss. Really good, actually, in taking the loss. His selling, oh my God. His selling was on point. Absolutely on point. Gunther was working the lower back of Randy. And every time Randy used a move that involved his lower back, he just clutched at it and he winced and it's so good. He did not stop selling the entire match. So good. It's a masterpiece. Youngsters need to watch his selling there. It was absolutely great. Let me just scroll through my list. Who else was there on the show? So you had the Liv Morgan situation where she faced off against Becky, who, by all intents and purposes, is going to take a long hiatus and do mummy things, I think, for as far as I know. So she beat Becky with the help of Dom, even though Dom kind of promised the world he was there to stop Liv. Yeah, that went wrong. It's a story of Dom's life. So that was, I don't know, was it unexpected? With Liv picking up the win?
I don't think it was unexpected. I think people were all critical that Becky was winning it when she did. And maybe Becky was just kind of the placeholder because they wanted Liv to actually win it by actually pinning her and then retaining it, which we'll get to afterwards. But her character has been super dominant. She's super confident in her promos. This is a very different Liv Morgan that we've seen from her first title reign. But I'd like to know how she could win. I think something that they could easily capitalize with Liv is how she has a history of taking advantage of a situation and winning when her opponent is weakened or battered or has had help, but never won it just like a straight 1, 2, 3. When she won her title the first time, it was a Money in the Bank cash-in. Ronda was injured. She was wounded. She took advantage of that, right? And then here she had the help from Dominic, and then I mean we'll get to Raw, but yeah. So I wonder, and that was as a face, like the first parts, right? She's the cash in, she's the champion. People weren't necessarily taking her seriously, and she seemed a little awkward then. Here she's a whole bunch of more confident and comfortable in this reign. So I wonder how. So as a heel, you can cheat, you get away with it. It's just interesting where it's never like straight on the level. Like, can you be convinced by her just beating somebody without any assistance, no advantage, 1, 2, 3, right? I wonder.
Yeah, is it setting? Well, it is setting up obviously when Rhea comes back. But how long is Rhea out for?
I thought she's set to come back this summer. I thought it was not months and months and months. I thought a SummerSlam was on the table. Please, if anybody's heard differently, chime in, tweet us, let us know. I thought SummerSlam was something that they're still looking at. So
okay,
and if that's the case, escalating everything with what's happened with the dissension in Judgment Day kind of aligns with that. Like, what really happens then? Maybe that's the tipping point, right?
Yeah. The story could last until then, with Dom flip flopping and between the two and what have you. I mean, again, we'll get to it in a bit, but something happened on Raw and the kiss and what have you. But yeah, did you see by any chance the entrance of Sami Zayn?
I saw his dress, his attire. I think that was pretty. That was a real shout out to the people in Saudi Arabia. I think that was really well done. Certainly that part.
When he came out from the back wearing that attire, he received one of the biggest Road Warrior pops I've ever heard on a show. That entire arena just exploded. I mean, I'd never. How can I put it? He has heritage from that area, from the Middle East, coming out in that attire, in that garb. It all combines to make one insane moment, and no one expected. I don't think anyone expected him to come out with that attire. So when he did, and he came out from the back, every single person in that arena was on their feet, going absolutely crazy. It was. I think he's gone on record saying it's one of his the greatest moments of his life. It carried on into the match. The triple threat was really, really good, really well paced, really well booked. The right person won, obviously. Talking about dissension in the Judgment Day, you've got dissension in Alpha Academy.
Oh, for
Again,
sure.
we'll get to what happened afterwards on Raw. But yeah, it was very good. Bronson Reed come out looking like a monster, which he is, an athletic freak of a monster, and I couldn't find fault with it. Not that I try to pick holes in matches unless your name is Nia Jax, but yeah, it was very good. Like I said at the beginning of this little segment, this whole B pay-per-view was great from top to bottom, with flashes of pretty damn great. It's a thing. I think that WWE now, when they do these overseas pay-per-views, they push the boat out to the guys and girls and say, look, whatever you want to do, make it work, make it happen, make it amazing. And it really is. I can't think in the last year, 18 months, any overseas pay-per-view that hasn't been at least a B plus. Oh, there's a reference. A B plus kind of level. It's just, yeah, really good. Really, really good. Is there anything else you want to talk about on the King and Queen of the Ring?
No. I think my only question, in getting your perspective, like from between Sammy and Bronson and Chad, do you think by the time this triad of matches, the three of them go at it, that each one of them will hold the IC title at some point, or is that not likely because it diminishes what Gunther did? Like, because if all of them can stake claim to it, does the title make them? Did they, like, is it almost like a reward? What do you think? Or is it just going to be somebody's going to walk away as a new champion, and Sammy doesn't retain going through not just one because he's trying to battle both guys, or does everybody get a chance as a champion?
I personally think all three, and in all intents and purposes, should hold the IC title.
Mm-hmm.
Will it happen? I doubt it. I can't see them putting the title on Bronson Reed. And the only reason why I say that is because I think he's the odd one out in the story between Sammy and Chad. He wasn't thrust and forced into it because it all happened or pretty much organically. But the main focus of the story is Chad and Sammy with Bronson on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
I can't. I want him to. The first time I saw him live was at Riptide Wrestling back here in the UK. One of the best promotions I've ever been to in my entire life. It doesn't exist anymore, and I miss it terribly. But I saw him down there, and he was just wow. The stuff that he could do, the size of the guy, is another freak that shouldn't be doing the stuff that he does. But and he's just gradually got better. He spent his time down in NXT and honed his craft a bit more, and now he's a legit monster. But like I said, storyline wise and booking wise, he's on the outside looking in, so I don't think he'll get a chance. Could they try and not diminish the history of Gunter / Walter holding the belt, but maybe try and stop people bringing him back into the conversation? Could they flip-flop the title between, hot potato it between the two? Maybe even a three if they are really brave to try and stop the memory of Gunter holding it / Walter. I think you've got that belt for so long. I don't know. Possibly.
Well, the story around Gunther was so much different, right? It was about he was facing contender by contender, and he had time to boast about his accomplishments. Sammy doesn't have that time. He's got two people up his butt wanting his title at the same time, right? And so he's contending. It's a different story. So if he's to lose it, it's understood. He's like, he could lose it and not even be the one that's pinned if it's another triple threat. So
yeah, there's that. I quite like the way that title is more forefront than the TBS title on, not TBS, sorry, the TNT title on AEW, which I think would be like the direct line across the two companies. The TNT would be their IC title, wouldn't it? The second most prestigious title in the company.
Yeah.
It's over. The IC title is high up on the cards. The story around it has been about the title for as long as Gunter / Walter held it for. So he's made it prominent again, and they're carrying it on now, just in a different way. So I like that. I really do like that. Now, this was Saturday evening, my time, finished at 9 p.m. This King and Queen of the Ring. Everyone on that card flew all the way back to the US, ready for Raw on the Monday night. Man, that's a commute and a half, but Raw happens, and I think the biggest takeaway from that night was a steel cage match.
Indeed. It was a main event between Becky and Liv. It was a title match, but it was a rematch, and we had some people get involved because they really had sworn they didn't want something to happen to Rhea's title. So first, Dominic got involved. Dominic gets involved in Saudi Arabia in the hopes of making sure Liv doesn't win the title, or so we're led to believe. And then at the end of the night, we have Braun Strowman chase, because he's in pursuit of JD McDonough, around the ring until he bumps into Dominic, who in turn, this is like domino effect, who ricochets his body off the door, which hits Becky, who's trying to come through the door, knocking her down again, inadvertently helping Liv to retain the title.
I'm quite disappointed in the IWC. Reason being is that the clip that WWE showed of that exact scenario being played out, I'm very disappointed that no one in the IWC has put the Benny Hill theme tune behind it, because it was exactly that. It's exactly a Benny Hill skit from the 1970s. It was ridiculously funny, and it worked really, really well. I'm overjoyed with the fact that Dom did that, and the look on his face when he realised what he'd done. It was really good, really well done. And Dom, I'm going to hold my hands up here. When Dom came to the WWE and started wrestling with his dad, I was like, I'm not sure about this. It's like nepotism at its finest. You know, I'm not really sure that he's going to not even be a star, but just be a fairly competent wrestler. Now look at the guy. He's so good. Character work on him is great. Putting him in the Judgment Day has been an outstanding move. And now is he going to be in the middle of a tug of war, like a love triangle kind of thing with Rhea? Because after the match where Liv had retained the title, Dom is on the ramp and he's looking totally and utterly confused. And all of a sudden, Liv comes up to him. They share a moment where they look at each other, and all of a sudden she grabs his face and she passionately kisses him, and he doesn't stop it for a good couple of seconds. It's been a while since we had a romantic love triangle in WWE. I'm enjoying this storyline a lot.
So it's interesting that you see that. So depending on where you're watching, so we saw that, but apparently there were certain subscribers or people in the US that the feed cut out depending on what they were watching, and they didn't see the kiss at all.
That's right. Yeah, I saw that.
But with this, like, because there's so much dissension, I will say with Damian Priest, he's not feeling it. He's having to come and fix everybody else's problem with Carlito and with Finn Balor and with JD. I've heard rumblings of people saying that there's a split and that JD and Finn actually align with Liv, and that actually Dom potentially Dom joins Liv too and double crosses Rhea, where it kind of leaves Rhea basically. We don't see Judgment Day as it is anymore. It's gonna basically crumble apart. I don't really think Damian Priest needs them anyway. It's just such a distraction now that if he's got to go and fix those problems, he's got a Scottish psychopath that's waiting for him that should be his primary focus. That with those other distractions, how do you show where your attention should be?
No, yeah, that's like I said, Damian Priest, I think, is going to drop the title at Clash at the Castle. And you just pretty much outlined the reason why. He's not focused. His head's not in the game. So he's too busy sorting out his family, the club, the group, whatever you want to call them. And it's going to cost him. It's going to cost him the title.
The only thing that I think that prevents him not losing the title is if a certain guy from Chicago costs. I mean, think of how much, if Drew doesn't win, we're going to riot, almost ECW, Rob Van Dam versus John Cena type animosity. If CM Punk was to cost Drew the chance to win the title, oh my God, that would be would not be bloodshed pretty much coming out of Scotland? Like, wouldn't they not want to tear Punk apart and it be like...
ECW, Philly crowds, they're known for being voracious and passionate. If that happened, if that exact scenario happened where Punk costs him the title, Punk will have to do his duty, cost him the title, leg it to the back, armed guards out straight to the airport, because I'm telling you now, 16,000 Scottish fans will be wanting his head. There would be, when the NWO were created and Hogan was in the ring and people are lobbing all their drinks and everything else. Yeah. Yep. They wouldn't be lobbing them in the ring. They would be ripping up the chairs to throw them at CM Punk's head as he's running past. If that happened, kudos to the balls of Triple H and the booking team. because
Yeah.
there won't be any arena left if that happened. But man, what a moment!
Because we're both in the like they can't take away this moment again from him like they did last year. But I mean, Punk has been scarcely quiet in all of this stuff with Drew recently. So it's interesting because to be so quiet about something. Hey, listen, we saw Dom go all the way to Saudi Arabia just to try and help and make sure that Liv didn't. I mean, that's a real commitment on Punk's part to make sure that the Mac. But what's the money match? Is it Punk McIntyre, or is it McIntyre Gunther going into SummerSlam?
Ooh.
Because he, as a champion, you see, this is why I can't see him winning it just to not face Punk. If Punk's going to be cleared for SummerSlam and to do a triple threat, yeah, that kind of protects him, but that's a lot happening all at once. They like to give things a chance to breathe, right? So,
how about you? So it's going to be Gunther / Walter against the winner from the Clash at the Castle. And then I think you've got 4 to 5 week build between the end of Clash to SummerSlam. What's to say that you don't end up with a 4-way at SummerSlam? So you'll have Gunther / Walter, you'll have McIntyre, you'll have Punk, and you've got Priest.
Yeah, that could work.
Yeah. I mean, when was the last time you had the title up for grabs in an old-fashioned traditional 4-way? No gimmicks, no cage, no cell, anything like that. Just a straight out flat, 4-way.
And they're not as dependent on Punk to try to carry a one-on-one match in his first match back, right? That's less pressure on him. Yeah. Not to say that they probably don't think it is, but listen, he's a commodity. They need to make the most of their investment. Why do that, right? So yeah, I like that one. I like the 4-way better. A 4-way or triple threat could work a lot better. So yeah.
Just ideas that popped into my head there.
I love it. I love those
Sometimes
ideas.
The best ideas happen that way. What else happened on the show? Let me go through this. We've talked about that. We've talked about that. So you had... go on.
Braun Breaker.
Yes,
Blitz.
I was about to say that.
Go for it.
I before we started recording, and before I burnt my tongue, I watched something on Instagram where an audience member was at the Raw taping, or the Raw show, last Monday, and they've got Tim recording Braun kind of slowly creeping out of the way from people in the ring, but through the crowd. And you just see him spring like a bloody gazelle up, takes about 3 steps, jumps over the barrier, another 3 steps, slides into the ring, 2 steps, clothesline, all in about a second and a half.
Yeah.
The guy I'm going to say it again, the guy's a freak. There's too many freaks in wrestling. It's pissing me off. He's so good. And what someone put in the comments, he is what Goldberg would be if Goldberg had talent and is a Steiner. And I couldn't word it any better than that. I was like, yeah, spot on. But yeah, he's going for Ricochet.
Well, I wonder if Ilya is going to be part of that too, because Ilya seems like he keeps getting missed in these opportunities, and but he did get blitzed too, right? He tried to thwart off Braun afterwards too. So
yeah,
this is the 3 of them being involved in this. So
could be. I mean, I'm not. Did Ilya and Braun get to grips in NXT? Sure they did.
Well, we know that he and Carmelo did, and he and Trick did. I don't know about. I think you're right. At some point, they had crossed paths, maybe prior to him beating Melo for the title. So.
I can't quite remember. I'm not averse to seeing any matches between the 3 of them, or a triple threat if that's how it goes. Although, if there is going to be a 4-way for the title at SummerSlam, let's try and not have any more multi-man matches through the card. But, if the story's good and it deserves a multi-man match, then who am I to say no? Lyra got back onto winning ways again.
Yep.
She put away Kairi Sane, and then afterwards you had the EO throwing a hissy fit. Is that more hinting at damage control isn't as good as it once was?
Possibly. I guess you're tired of losing. You're tired of the direction, and tired of just the outlook. And Asuka's not there too because she's in recovery or some time away. So it shows them weaker than they were, and so either they're going to have to reevaluate how they are as a team, or something has to be done to freshen them up. So,
well,
but yeah,
this kind of comes out also with the news that I can't think of the guy's name, but the man who created or helped create Stardom has a new promotion called Marigold. Is that right?
yes, yeah.
And he's got some kind of relationship with Triple H, and he wants EO and Kyrie to appear for his promotion on every now and again. So could they just disappear for a couple of months, go back to Japan, work for him, and come back fresh, or maybe even that could be the end of Damage Control. I don't know, but it's worth thinking about.
Well, somebody that's signed with, I know who you're talking about. His name's escaping me too. Is Julia, who was with Stardom.
That's right.
Julia, who's crazy. She's Italian born, but Japanese raised. So to look at her, she's not Asian, but she's Italian. She speaks Japanese fluently. So it always is interesting when you look at somebody, not to necessarily judge them, but and then she was decorated champion in the promotion, is going to do some work for him, but she's signed to NXT, and the talk is that she could be showing up sooner rather than later.
Haven't you heard?
No.
She got injured.
Oh no, that I hadn't heard.
Yeah, I think she worked either the first or second Marigold show, and she got injured.
Oh no!
So the NXT debut got pushed back. I don't know how long she's out for, but that sucks because she is really, really good.
I think they were talking Heatwave. Was when she was set to go. So that Money in the Bank weekend.
That's right.
But I guess, I guess that's not going to be
up your way.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's not going to happen. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, that's kiboshed that idea. But yeah, I'm not too sure what the title picture is now. Maybe going off piste slightly, which is what we do here on the pod. Maybe that's why Jordan Grace is back in NXT.
That would make sense. Yeah, maybe.
Opening that forbidden door and a different forbidden door.
Did you? So Jordan Grace has a T-shirt called the Prohibited Portal.
Oh, I like that.
Isn't that great? Yeah. And it just shows her silhouette with kind of illuminated door, kind of like when Bray Wyatt's initial entrance happened when he returned, right? With the illuminated. Yeah. So it's almost like, but it's her silhouette kind of going through this prohibited portal.
That's clever.
Yeah.
I like that. Did you also see the tweet that Drew McIntyre put out afterwards?
Doors swing both ways.
Both ways, yeah. With a picture of him holding the TNA title.
Yeah.
That'd be clever.
To kind of get back to the Raw state before we let me go. I think the elephant in the room is Becky Lynch. Her deal set to expire as we're recording this. It's the 31st of May. June, isn't it today or tomorrow that it expires?
Well, it's midnight tonight, isn't it? So
yeah, there you go. And I haven't read of anybody saying of her going to AEW.
She's not.
I have, and because if you've achieved everything she has, like she could actually walk away. Like, I've done it all. I think the next goal is, with time away, the goal is, can you do it again being away, coming back and trying to do that? Because not winning the NXT title, she did that over the last year, right? And held that a little bit.
Yeah.
Talk about somebody that's deserved a break, well-deserved break. But but maybe other opportunities come up, acting, promoting her book properly, all those things, right?
Yeah, if anyone deserves a break, she definitely deserves it. She had her and Steph's baby girl.
Mm-hmm.
She spent some time back at home being a mum, and then she came back. It didn't feel like she was gone that long. I think she was, but it didn't feel like that. So I think she wants that kind of time off again, like a year or so.
Yeah.
Maybe she could come back at Mania next year unannounced and hit the manhandle slam on someone. I don't know, but let her go. Let her do her own thing. Everyone needs to stop speculating. Oh, now she's out of contract. She could pop up anywhere at any time. Yeah, she could. She's not, because she's a WWE lifer. She is not going anywhere. It's
crazy.
This woman
Go ahead.
will follow Triple H to the ends of the earth. He saw something in her back in NXT when no one else did. That's the reason why she will not go anywhere else.
Another contract set to expire is Chad Gable's, and
Yeah,
like
I saw that.
imminently expire. Yeah, imminently expires. So, and he's super involved in a storyline where he's the key character, right? So, what do they do to that? I mean, what carrot do they dangle if not to win a title? To really give the guy that's never won a singles title, either an NXT. I mean, I'm not talking about NXT tag titles. I'm not even sure if he won a tag title when he was on the main roster with somebody, but for goodness sakes, the guy, it's got to be worth something. So I don't know what it is, because if it's money, I can't see them doing with him in another promotion unless it's like a TNA, where he's going to have the build to his character as it's been. I'm just hoping he stays and it gets rectified soon. But I mean, they've worked with others on handshake deals, right? Drew did it for months and months, and it all worked out.
It pisses me off that I going back to NXT, back in the black and gold days, when Chad was down there with Jason Jordan, and they were a tag team, and they were good. They were really, really, really good on TV. And me and the wife, we went to NXT London years ago now, absolutely years ago. They were on the card. As you know, and as all you millions of people out there know, the UK crowd is one of the best crowds in the world, and we can spot talent. We can really spot talent. That night, Chad Gable was over. He was so over. Jason Jordan as well, obviously, sounds harsh. I don't mean this, but it was like hanging off of Chad's coattails. But he was so sodding over. The crowd were chanting all night long for him during his matches, and like smatterings of him like chants after his match. And then to see him get called up not long after with Jason, and obviously Jason suffered that terrible injury. And then the inevitable happened. It was, creative haven't got anything for you. It sucks that it took so damn long for them to realise what we saw years ago. We knew he was that good. We knew he could be a top, like a top mid-tier talent.
Yep.
He's okay, it's just annoying. And to see him now getting not jibbed as such, but coming towards the end of his contract, and it's still not on the table because of that idiot. Is it Mark Carano, whoever his bloody name is? Yeah. Because he was like, oh no, we'll run them really, really close, and then we'll get them on a cheaper deal. No, you won't. Don't you see that you've got competition now? Don't you see that they could leave? That the power is now back in the wrestlers' hands. You don't have any power at all. If you want them, you give them the contract months in advance. You don't wait until a week before, or in Drew's case, 3 months after. It's just insane business thinking, especially with AEW. They're not like I don't mean this disrespectful, but they're not like the TNA Impact kind of level. They're top tier. They're proper competitors. And it just annoys me that they just treat their talent like this.
Well, hopefully things will work out and we will continue to see the storyline flourish with a great payoff.
Yeah, he'll stay. He'll stay. Again, going back to Becky, who's in charge of Raw? Who's in charge of the company now? The same guy that saw him in NXT. He won't go. He won't go. He will sign. It's just. If I was in his shoes, I'd just be pissed that it took that long. But they've got rid of the idiot that was doing all of that, and now Triple H is trying to steer the ship contract-wise. So
Yeah.
he's going nowhere, folks. Right.
So.
No, you're not allowed to say so. If I can't say so, you can't. You can't start a sentence with so.
I can't start with so. Okay.
No.
Well,
no,
you're
no,
just
no,
upset
no.
at yourself for saying it. All right. Okay. With that said, have we pretty much covered Raw?
WWE is covered, isn't it? Really? I mean, we've covered.
Yeah, I think so.
Everything that happened last weekend. We've recapped with the WWE recap.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that just reminded me of something that I'm going to mention in AEW.
Okay, go for it.
No. It'll happen in the Dynamite section.
Okay.
I you know those lengthy notes that I sent you for Dynamite. I mentioned it in those notes.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember, but it'll pop up.
Well, there were some curses in there too, so
No,
those definitely do that as well.
no. The beep button will not be in play this week. I don't think.
Okay.
I don't think anyway.
So far, so good. So far, so good.
Yeah, it's not bad. There's some mid-level curses. I'll let them go.
We interrupt this program to bring you an important announcement.
Sorry to interrupt this episode. I just wanted to take a few seconds to let you know about the amazing folks at the Pro Wrestling Post and what exactly happens over there. It's not your typical wrestling website that just deals with the day's news and events. Mark Madison and his team cover so much more. You have, for example, Kelly Dishnell and her WWE Raw in Advance previews. You've got Brandon Lasher covering AEW with his Dynamite Ignition. They also take you back in time with their Retroview series, where past wrestling companies' events are reviewed. Clint Dye takes a walk down memory lane with WCW, while Ethan Black goes down a hardcore route and follows ECW. Not forgetting Brandon Dack, who checks out old school NWA TNA for your delectable pleasure. You want a more personal journey? Then follow DJ Jarka in his refereeing adventures at ESW, or maybe back to the golden age of wrestling with Ian Agubov. You can even check out past podcast episodes on the site's archive. Whatever your flavour, Mark and his team will have you covered at the Pro Wrestling Post. Thanks for listening. Now back to the episode.
So as we went into Double or Nothing, not Deal or No Deal, Double or Nothing.
Not Deal or No Deal.
As we went into Double or Nothing, we've gotten some new champions, some debuts, sadly some injuries. Highs and lows, what stood out to you?
Let me preface this by saying it was 1 a.m. when the show started. I watched the pre-show, so it's like midnight. My buddy, Mr. Dan Conroy, didn't come to mine to watch the show, as he was over here. We use the word hanging for when people are suffering the after effects of enjoying themselves too much the day before. And he was absolutely hanging from celebrating Manchester United's victory in the FA Cup final. He he had a lot to drink. He mixed his drinks, and in his words, he finished the night by opening a bottle of Prosecco at home. And I had no idea what time in the morning this was, but yeah, he wasn't coming over. So I watched this with my grandson, my wingman. I did try waking him up to watch the show. He brushed me off and told me in no uncertain terms to leave him the hell alone. Me and my grandson watched it. And I tried very hard to be quiet and not scream and shout and jump because, oh my good God, there was some amazing action in this show. Now, after that diatribe, I've completely forgotten what your question was.
What stood out to you, highs or lows of the show? Because we had some new champions, we had debuts, we had an injury, sadly. We had a surprise appearance. There were some surprises, some new champions. What stood out to you?
Should we just go through this in chronological order?
I think you should go through with what stood out to you. You could, because something, but then some you might not have any opinion on.
Okay, things that stood out. Adam Cole back, not in a wheelchair, not using crutches. That's a good start. I don't know how far along in rehab he is, but that's a good start. Tie into the fact that now MJF is back, and I know the Triple H comparisons have been rife all over the internet. But I was messaging you, and I said to you the moment he came out, "Oh my god, I'm getting Triple H 01 vibes with that jacket."
Yeah.
So I just like to throw that out there. MJF is back. He looks in such good shape. He's lost mass, but he looks good. He doesn't look as big, but he looks ripped, if that makes sense.
Yeah. More defined.
Thank you, defined. So that bodes well. Seeing Adam Cole take, what was it, a brainbuster or was it a suplex?
I know, brainbuster.
It was a brainbuster. So seeing him take a brainbuster, obviously there's nothing to do with his foot, but you come down and you kind of heel hit the mat. As far as I know, nothing's come out saying that he's injured from that or made it worse. So that's all good. MJF with with all the money that MJF has got with his new multi-million-dollar contract for staying with the company, his tattoo is second rate, man. Second rate. Yeah. So yes, go on.
Look at where it's placed. Lower back heel that can get covered up with a boot. It's not on your neck. It's not.
Yeah, I know, but come on.
I know.
If you're going to mark your body, make it a nice, great piece rather than. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, he's back. He's coming back to TV next Wednesday, apparently, they announced.
Yep.
So that will be good. And by the looks of it, he's going to be up against Roosh, which is quite good, I must admit. But I think Roosh is the wrong person for him. I think they're trying to use the rub of MJF onto Roosh, but we shall see. So that's that. You had. Let me go through. I've still got my notes. You had Will Ospreay doing what we said he was going to do. He was going to beat Roddy.
Yeah.
In actually a very good match. Although about 2 minutes into that match, I honestly thought Will broke his neck with that bump that he took off the shoulders.
Doomsday. It was almost like a doomsday through but on the floor.
That was nasty. Yeah, I had my grandson on my lap, and we're watching the TV, and that happened, and I nearly threw my grandson off my lap. I was like, "Oh my god!" But I didn't. If my stepdaughter's listening, he was absolutely fine. He was absolutely fine because she does listen. She listened to us on YouTube.
Oh, fantastic!
I know. I have a story about that, but we'll get to that later on. So that was a good start. Seeing Will win, and yeah, the sky's the limit for him, which we'll obviously get to in a bit. What else was there? I'm trying to scroll through the show. No, that didn't interest me. Okay. We didn't shit on it as such, but we weren't really looking forward to the FTW 3-way.
No.
I really enjoyed that. I thought that was very well booked, very well paced. Everyone got their stuff in. Yeah, I just thought it was just a great little match. Obviously, with the bounty hunter coming in to help the learning tree, that was pretty cool. And seeing a bag of not thumbtacks, not Lego pieces, but dye. Lots and lots of dye all across the ring. Taking bumps on that, no, not for me. I'll pass on that. That does not float my boat. But that was very good. I enjoyed that match. Moxley against Takeshita. I worried about that match, and we spoke about this last week about the placement, whether or not it should actually be on the card. I still say now it shouldn't have been on the card. However, that was a good match. The way that they worked Moxley's arm throughout the entire match. The way that he picked up the victory through not exactly the skin of his teeth, but it was harder than what he would have expected. That was good. I really, really enjoyed that part. I still, as I said, debate whether or not it should have been on the card in the first place. Then we get to the Barbed Wire Steel Cage match, which, again, going back to, I was messaging you through the show. I lost count how many messages I'd sent to you about this match. It was it was everything I wanted and more. Another quote, throw my grandchild off my lap moment, end quote, was when Brody and Buddy looked like they were joining Edge. I was so thought they were going to turn. I was like, oh my god, no, this is actually going to happen. And then Edge ate like the nastiest lariat. It was right across the bottom of the chin and the throat. Oh my word. So good. Then there was the worst top of the cage diving elbow drop I've ever seen in my life, which has resulted in a broken, was it fibula or tibia? I can't remember.
Tibia.
A broken tibia. He came down, he was what, 25 foot up?
Yeah.
And he came down.
You can almost see his indecisiveness. And isn't that like the worst thing? You've got to be sure and like not think, it seems like. And he overthought it. Or he changed his mind midway because he came straight down. He did not come across him. Now, I don't know if that was because he didn't want to run the risk of barbed wire because Malachi was wrapped in barbed wire. But I don't know. I
would have taken. I would have. It's me sounding like I know things. But if I was in this position, I would have come across and did a crossbody. Yeah. I would have taken puncture wounds rather than that bump, because as he was coming down, his legs were straight, and it for a split second, all I had in my head was Sid Vicious, but a million times worse. It was.
Yeah.
Oh, how that wasn't worse than what it actually was, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then we had Gangrel make his way up, and I lost my proverbial shit. It was so good. It was just, and as them Impaler DDTs that he was throwing out, oh my god, they were selling the crap out of them. So good, so good. So yeah, seeing Adam get a double or nothing moment, I suppose, rather than a WrestleMania moment, that was really, really good. Really, really, really good match. I just wish he didn't come down. I bet he wishes he didn't come down on two legs now. But hey, I would say you live and learn, but I don't think he's going to have much time left after this one. This is he's going to be out for what, 6 to 9 months, same as Eddie Kingston. Yeah, I don't know how long he's got left.
So I've actually had what Eddie has with sort of a torn ACL. So I had a torn ACL and a meniscus. Now, I'm not an athlete like those guys. So for someone typically like me, it's about a year. I mean, these guys work harder at it and train, whatever, and so they can speed up the recovery time. But torn ligaments and broken limbs, I guess, like it's part of the what they do. It's just gonna be harder being 50 years old. You know, your mind thinks you can do something, and your body's like, no, you can't. I'm gonna prove it to you when you land. You're gonna regret it. And it's exactly what happened, right? It's too bad we never saw this Gangrel moment at WrestleMania, because everything was aligned for it to happen, and it was an administration management decision not to have Gangrel be a part of it, which is a shame, because I'm glad he never let that moment go and have it still happen sometime at some point.
Yeah.
And so
I mean, from all intents and purposes, and what we hear through the dirt sheets and through other wrestlers, is that Adam's very loyal. So this was him saying thank you for making him who he was. Because before he joined the Brood, Edge wasn't that interesting. He was just some random guy that used to come through the crowd, have a match, and then disappear again. It wasn't really anything more than that. So pairing him up and sticking him in the Brood, it's a big thing. I'm so glad that he got his Brood moment.
What stands out next to you?
The next one was the heel turn of a certain Chris Statlander, which I called last week, and I called about 15 minutes before it actually happened. Check my Twitter. Nobody wears black to the ring when everyone else is wearing nice bright colours unless they're going to turn heel. Insider notes there, folks. So seeing that happen was good. I said don't turn Stokely heel because he's just amazing as a face. You told me, yeah, but he's amazing anyway. He'll make it work. The promo he did on Dynamite, yeah, you were right. You were right. But we'll get to that in a minute. And where do we go after that? It's the World Championship. Good match. Very good match. As we said, it would be. But no great surprises for me personally. Although, again, we're talking about highlights from the entire show. Seeing Swerve hit the house call as Christian was trying to do a spear. Spot on. Absolutely spot on. Loved that. That was really good.
Mm-hmm.
And then you might as well just put the entire Anarchy in the Arena match as a highlight, because the amount of craziness that happened and took place in this match was unreal. And I'm sat here at, I think it was like 3:45 in the morning. I'm really flagging. My energy levels have dropped dramatically. My grandson is asleep on the sofa. I'm now sat on the floor, so I know if I jump up, I'm not going to wake him up. I spent the entirety of that match on my feet because it was just one thing after another. I asked last week about the music and whether or not someone was going to have their theme tune played for 17 minutes. And I'm so happy that they did something similar, but completely different. Oh, my word. Hearing the final countdown, I lost my mind. I'm jumping around and, yeah, I'm inward shouting, if that makes sense to you lot. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. There was spots galore in that match. I'm not going to go into detail. You all know about the spots. You've seen them. You've heard about them. That match, I said this would be a precursor to Blood and Guts. I don't know how this match is going to get topped.
How do you top that?
Yeah, along this Elite versus an AEW kind of feud and rivalry, I don't know how you can top that match. It was such a good show. They knocked it out of the park yet again. I wouldn't say it was the greatest pay-per-view I've ever seen, as many other people have been saying, but it was really, really good. Now, I posted on Twitter yesterday, basically asking you millions out there, what did you think of the show? What did you think of Dynamite? Somebody got back to me. Somebody from he's basically an SEPW alumni, like myself. Mr. Tax Williams, he got back in touch with me, basically saying it was too long. And it really, really was. By the time the show finished, I think it was like 4:35 a.m. UK time. And no, it was later than that. It's 5:35, so it was 4.5 hour show. Yeah, it was too long. And like I said, I was flagging, the energy levels had dropped, and it was hard to stay awake that long. There's got to be a way where you've got to trim these down a bit, go back to the 3-hour pay-per-views. I know this is their version of WrestleMania, but let us know if you're going to go long, because I kept looking at my watch thinking, we've still got 3 matches left, and we're hitting like the 2.5 hour mark. What's going on? Yeah, it's too long.
We've come to understand that, like, now with the WWE, it seems like their formula has gone back to 3 hours plus ish, maybe 3.5. But they don't have a card of 10 plus matches. Now I'm surprised if you see something beyond 8 matches. And that might be on the higher end, because it's like Triple H took his formula from NXT whenever their takeovers would happen, and it's typically about 5 matches, 2.5 to 3 hours. Here, they're pushing a little bit more because there's a little bit more to it. But with the roster like you have in front of you and as prominent as they have, they're mixing people together. They're trying to build in and add to that. So that's the risk you run, because it's not just Double or Nothing. It's Revolution. It's going to be Dynasty. It's going to be Wrestle Dream. That's going to have, like, all of these. I can't see them being little, because everybody wants to be on the pay-per-view. And Tony's trying to get as many people in as possible, whether it makes sense or not.
But I can understand if he was keeping this at 4 to 5 pay-per-views. But a report come out not long before World's End in December of last year saying that they're pushing to go 12 or even 13 pay-per-views a year.
Yeah.
You cannot go 4 to 4.5 to sometimes 5 hours. It's overkill. And I love wrestling. I consume wrestling like I do oxygen. I'm watching wrestling, I don't know, about 3-4 hours a day, every day, even more at weekends. But to watch a 5-hour pay-per-view once a month with matches like Orange and Trent, which could have happened and the match was good, but it could have happened on a Dynamite or a Collision. There were matches that didn't need to, and that's not even forgetting the pre-show, or 0 hour as they call it. There was 2 matches on there that could have happened on TV. It's too much. And this is, like I said, this is coming from someone that adores wrestling and watch it all day, every day, but it's just too much. Too much. Pare it back.
Do you remember when during the WWE's brand split, they would actually have a SmackDown only pay-per-view and a Raw only? So, I mean, they were going 2 a month, brand specific, and those were roughly like 3 hours each, but it was not concentrated all on one night, right?
Yeah.
You could give your guys a SmackDown per se. So if they're to do these 12 or 13, can you see it being split amongst show specific? But the hard part is, if not everybody's watching Collision or Rampage, does it, like, do you care as much? Does it affect because of when it airs?
I've stopped watching Rampage when I realised it started becoming like a B show. Like Sunday Night Heat back in the day, you know, it was just a filler show. So I stopped watching that about 18 months ago.
Okay.
And then Collision started, and I do watch Collision each and every week. So every week I will watch. Okay, start of the week on Monday. So we've got Raw, NXT, SmackDown. Sorry, Dynamite, SmackDown, Collision. That's my weekly rotation of shows. And I've totally forgot where I'm going with this point. What the hell am I talking about?
But you, so if you stopped watching them, would that be because just
Thank you.
either time or interest?
You've got me back on. So
you're welcome. That's why we're a team.
Cheers.
Please
Cheers.
check your watch.
Good lad.
Please check your phone.
I will do. It just. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's just me going to go off on a rant again. That it's just not worth it, I suppose. But
you could still be a passionate fan and be like, I can't invest enough time in the day to watch things that aren't a focal point, or there's no continuity, and whatever happened there died there. And unless you're getting a recap and they're reminding you, it's easy to forget about it.
Yeah, I do. It's like, okay, let's blend this into Dynamite. Dynamite ran over by 10 minutes this week.
Yeah.
What for? Why was the run over? As I said, sometimes too much is literally too much. If you pare it back a bit, leave us wanting more, then when you do go over, it will mean more. It's like I was looking at. I mean, the amount of notes I sent you on Dynamite this week. I'm looking at them now. It's unreal. I'm watching the show. I'm typing. Well, actually, I was like dictating to my phone, and it was taking the notes. So, but so many. It's unreal. Why there was. Well, I don't know. What about you? Do you think Tony's doing too much?
I'm with you completely. I think you're trying to stuff 10 pounds into a 5-pound bag. It's not going to fit, but it doesn't stop you from cramming it. It may, like, why he isn't even defending the international title. He's right away going into a gauntlet to contest for the AEW, like the world title. Now, when I messaged you, I'm like, does it make his challenge potentially for All In less special because this is what's happening and it's happening here? and he potentially could win here.
Okay.
But that's where I was going. Like, you know,
I'm going to read this word for word. So the last paragraph that I sent you about the main event of Dynamite, I'm going to read this out.
okay.
I'm going to give you the dad line. I'm not mad. I'm just really disappointed. You've backed yourself into a corner, TK. How are you going to get out of this mess? Will wins. You missed not just a feel-good moment for the ages at All In, but he's just not ready. Swerve wins, and you not only kill Will's momentum, but you tarnish the international title too. I just don't know what to do. Am I being too critical?
No, I think that I don't think you are. I think the timing is not good. We need to be able to see Swerve elevated as the champion, as the AEW, the focal point of your promotion should be on your champion, not on everybody else that's going to be of value. Okada and Osprey, and they're important. Not to say they're not, but if you stood behind Swerve and said he's going to be our light, then stand behind him and make him in a focal point, not something forgettable somewhere down, either not one of your top few spots that is starting off the show and being on camera, but somebody that slides down and becomes less important.
We've discussed this ad nauseum about the Will Ospreay situation and pushing him to the moon. I'm just at an end. Tony Khan was, maybe still is, I don't know, an avid New Japan Wrestling fan. I mean, he's a mega fan. He's like a dork, whatever you want to call it. In Japan, wins and losses count.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that he's trying too hard on bringing that philosophy over to AEW, which is a Western show, and everyone doesn't really care about the wins and losses? It's about the wrestler itself. It's about the journey that they take from A to B, rather than he's won X amount of matches, he is this champion, therefore he must face the champion for the title. I don't think TK understands the journey. Let's go back to Ric Flair back in the day when it was the Flair for the gold. Everyone was behind Ric Flair for months. He must get his title shot. He will get his title shot, and it culminated, and he won the gold. Put in Will, who will have possibly one, maybe two defenses of the International Championship before he faces Swerve for the World Championship, does a disservice to the International Championship because it will look like a stepping stone. Even if he doesn't win, it will look like a stepping stone. It's not like he could even have an option C X Division Championship TNA style where he could trade it in and for a shot at the title. It just does not look good. The booking around Will in the last 3 to 4 weeks has been rushed, has been haphazard, and in the same respect has had a knock-on effect on Swerve. And as you said, Swerve is now out there. He's doing promos. He's doing a press. He's put the company on his back. I'm ranting. I'm sorry.
The only way, like, I can see logistically, if for whatever reason Osprey comes back and says, okay, well, hold on a second. I have this title match. Maybe I don't. I know I could have it at Forbidden Door, but maybe I want to hold it off because it's my title shot. Maybe I should be able to call the shots as to when I actually want it. And he decides that he wants to push it till All In against whomever the champion is at that point. So that's how you allow TK to kind of get out of the mess by still holding on to the title shot, still making it a special moment, still moving it in front of a hometown crowd. But then if it's Forbidden Door, there really should be a cross-promotional option of him facing somebody, whether it's somebody in CMLL or somebody in New Japan, where it feels like it's more of a CMML crossover right now. For some reason, I'm just getting that vibe. I could be off, and having that talent come over and contend as maybe even a champion versus champion, right? So just a shot in the dark.
I don't know. Am I being folks? The millions. Am I being too critical? Am I being a bit blinkered? Being a Brit, being,
you all know I'm not Will's favourite. I'm not a fan of Will, the man. I'm a fan of Will, the wrestler. But also, I love Swerve and where he is now. And this is not the pair of them. This is not the match for them. But I said to you last week, if Swerve beats Christian, who's going to step up? And it's Will. And I don't know. We have time, as you said, that we could do, as you just said, the reverse Cody Rhodes, where he makes a decision and says, look, no, I'll take it along down the line, like a Money in the Bank kind of contract situation. I talk to us. Hit us on our socials. What, am I being too critical? Is Mark right? Go on.
I like the term the reverse Cody Rhodes. That's kind of, we should be using that one. But I mean, there's notable guys. Why can't, if, for instance, the Bang Bang Gang, why can't Jay White decide that his pursuit now is going to be for singles titles, and he passes on, now the Juice is back, his title over to Juice, and he can contest and challenge. Yes, he had a world title match against MJF, but that was during MJF's reign. It's been a long time since. There's some really solid quality guys that have been in that spotlight. Why can't they get that again?
He looked absolutely fantastic in that match. So good. Absolutely fantastic. And why not reinforce the Freebird rule? Why can't, he, as you said, just drop the title to Juice and still sometimes defend it under Freebird rules, if that's the way they want to go, and then push him up to the main event, which I'm surprised it's taken them this bloody long to get him there, of Jay.
Yeah.
But like I said, who do you think out there, folks? You millions. Who's your shout? Are you 100% behind TK? Do you want to see this dream match? Are you with me and you think it's too early, or are you just indifferent and you don't care? You tell me to shut up. Either way, let us know. Hit us up on our socials. Mark, what are your socials?
My socials. Let's see. My socials would be at the Mark Madison. That's Mark with a C. Madison, Madison. And you can reach me also on our Pro Wrestling Post Twitter handle at Pro Wrestling PST. It's been a long time since I've said it. I would wish for a vowel so I can fit in the O. So PST. Or you can reach us on Instagram at Pro Wrestling Post. And if you follow Facebook, maybe your parents do because it's not cool, but follow us, give us a like, a share, and join us on Facebook too.
Does that make me old then? Because I don't do Facebook.
No, it actually makes you young because you do Instagram.
Yeah, but I don't really post a lot on Instagram. I do a lot of likes and things like that. But
okay, we still do enough of it.
Anyway. The Twitter is at the Mark Blake. Catch me on pay-per-view nights, and I will be tweeting and retweeting all the way through the pay-per-view, just like I did last week. It was really fun. I enjoyed it. Interaction with some of you out there was really good. Who was awake? The Dust Brits over here. Everyone else, I think, was too busy watching the show. Over on Instagram, I am _Mark_Blake. As I said, I don't really post much. I really should. Problem is, I don't like having my picture taken. I've got a voice for radio, not a face for TV. So I try and not promote the face as much. But if you lot want me to, I can. I can make some exceptions. It's just don't tell the wife. It's our little secret with us millions.
Pro Wrestling Post podcast after dark is what this is turning into.
It is. Look, we mentioned it last week. It could happen. We could do an after dark. Many options. Right. So many options. Got my wrestling promotion with like fireworks up the arse.
Yeah.
It's all going to happen.
Dollar bills stapled to lips. Yeah, that's all of that's happening.
Yeah, the drunk cast. That's going to happen. It's just
it is.
Follow us for the ride, folks. Follow us for the ride. And on that bombshell. Oh no, what am I doing? You can finish. You started, you can finish.
I think Force of Habit is like we're doing it that way, right?
It was. I got into like my comfortable robot zone. It was like, right, next one.
Love it. No, you had a chance to actually breathe and like shoot out all these feelings that kind of came through the week that was. I think that's awesome. Never get a chance to do that, but I mean that's what being relaxed is. Your day should be relaxed, your night should be relaxed, and everyone else here, you should be relaxed as you enjoy episode 23 of the Pro Wrestling Post podcast. I said it before, the Reason 23 special. Growing up, I was a Chicago Bulls fan.
Yeah,
Michael Jordan,
baby.
23. So that was a callback to why I picked this number, although I was a Scottie Pippen fan. So, but it's okay. It's okay. He was never a nice guy, but he won championships. So in the end, does it kind of work itself out, I guess? On behalf of Mark Blake, the one, the only Mark Blake, I'm Mark Madison. Take care, everybody. We'll see you again next week.